still have a hard time contemplating a world where she's not around, a world which feels less vibrant and less colorful than it did before. Her passing has torn me and my family apart as well.
Hi there, my name is Sadie and I'm the Prime Minister of Behavior. Today I want to talk to you about Stephan Sterns, convicted of the 2024 rape and murder of Madeline Soto, a 13-year-old girl. Today, July 21st, 2025, Stephan Sterns faced a pivotal plea hearing. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole, avoiding the death penalty altogether. Today we're going to have a look at his body language and his behavior during this plea hearing. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, it doesn't really seem like there's a whole lot going on in this specific clip, but I wanted to show this because it's his baseline. So as Greg Hartley always says, we're not looking for the baseline of him sitting on his couch eating Cheetos. We're looking for the baseline in this courtroom right now. So we see that his eyelashes, you can't really see his eyes. This angle is very interesting. You can see behind him, it's obviously shooting from behind, but you can see his blink rate is going. Now his blink rate changes throughout this depending on what's going on, and I think that this is the only really good thing that we can really make sure that we can watch is watching his blink rate. Stress is making his blink rate go up. When you see it go down, you can tell that he's more relaxed and he's more at ease, at least for the time being. Again, we're watching his baseline for in this moment while being in this courtroom. So it's really important to point out this at the very start because it will change. We can also see things like his breathing rate as well, and this is really important as well because this is another stress factor. When there is a higher breathing rate, or when the breathing changes from chest breathing, which is shallow breathing, to belly. When you're breathing through the belly, it's when you're a lot more relaxed. But when you're breathing through the chest, it's when you have shallow breaths. With the blink rate, this is another way that we can make sure that we see where his stress is ramping up and where he is feeling a little bit more relaxed.
I have two plea forms in my hand. One document looks like this. Second document looks like this. They're each plea forms for your respective cases. They each have a signature. That signature is the same on both plea documents. That signature is next to my finger. Can you tell me if that is your signature?
It's hard to tell from here.
Deputy, will you provide these forms?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defendant?
Right at the very start of the court hearing, you can see that he's signing something. I'm not sure what he's signing or if that's the same thing that he just signed, but it's interesting that he says that.
It's hard to tell from here.
He twists his chair a little bit at the same time as he's saying that. This is the behavior panel's favorite thing to watch when they see somebody sitting on a swivel chair like this, because it's a really good way of measuring how stressed out somebody is usually. Because people like to adapt on chairs like this actually, going back and forth when they're nervous. So it's a really good method of measuring somebody's stress level. However, we don't see him adapting too much. In fact, he tries to remain still. I think that it's likely because he knows that there's a lot of people watching. There's not just physically the people who were there, but also online. There's a lot of attention on him. So he's probably very aware of this, and he's probably trying not to make too many movements because he knows that it's going to get criticized, and he just knows that he's being watched.
Do you understand that you have a right to have a jury trial as to each of these allegations? And at the jury trial, the state of Florida would have to prove those allegations against you beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. At that trial, your attorneys would be with you. They are experienced, board-certified criminal expert trial attorneys. They would be cross-examining witnesses, examining the evidence against you. You would have a right to present your own witnesses and your own evidence. If you had witnesses that did not want to come to court, you could have asked me to make them come to court with a subpoena. You could have spoke at your trial, or you could have exercised your right to remain silent and not spoken. That would have been your decision after you talked those decisions over with your attorneys, and your jury would have been instructed not to consider your decision to remain silent in any way in rendering a verdict.
As the judge is talking to him, you can see his shoulders rise and fall. And so this goes to show that once more we're seeing very shallow breaths that he's taking. So obviously he is under a lot of stress and pressure, which is good because he deserves it.
Let me see the attorneys.
This is where his blink rate spikes. We can see how different it is from before versus now. And I think that this may be the reality of the situation. It's really happening. And so perhaps he's starting to feel a little bit anxious because of it. Something in that moment definitely made his blink rate go up. And it's a great angle that we're seeing because you can see directly his eyelashes blinking. Another great thing too that we can see is his heartbeat is right in his neck there. That it's a great visual that we're seeing. Once again, although his blink rate went up a lot, you can still see that he is remaining very still. And this is likely very difficult to do because I think that he's trying very, very hard not to make any movements. He knows that he's being scrutinized by everybody in the courtroom, and so he doesn't want to be doing anything, and he's just remaining very, very still. He's not even scratching his nose or, he's just very, very still. He is wearing handcuffs, so, that kind of stops his hands from doing a whole lot, but it's still, for him to stay so still like this is just very interesting.
Sterns, how do you plea to first-degree premeditated murder in 24 CF 1293?
No contest.
After saying no contest, he leans back.
And as to counts 1 through 8, capital sexual battery of Madeline Soto while she was under the age of 12. Counts 9 through 13, sexual battery of Madeline Soto between the ages of 12 and 18.
You can see his blink rate spike when sexual battery is mentioned, as well as Madeline Soto's name.
And counts 14 through 20, lewd or lascivious molestation. How do you plead?
Guilty.
So I wanted to quickly go through one of the main impact statements that was made by Stephan Soto. And I thought that this was a really upsetting one, and it's heartbreaking. They're all heartbreaking. It was really just so heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking case. This is just unbelievable that this monster was able to do this. It's disgusting. But while Stephan Soto is saying her impact statement, I just thought that his body language was very interesting, and I wanted to show it to you and talk about it because he has this look of some shame. It looks like he's looking down and blinking, and it does resemble some form of shame or disappointment, but that all gets destroyed when he starts to talk.
My family's life has been shattered. What we've endured and what we will continue to endure for the rest of our lives is a kind of pain that I do not wish on anyone. No family should have to lose a loved one in this horrible manner, especially at such a young. Her life was taken. Her future. I should say, never see her fall in love, get married, or build a future that she deserves. With her. This vile and her.
He does a deep sigh. You can see his shoulders rise and fall at the moment that it's cutting in and out. He's trying to show a lot of restraint. He doesn't want to make any big movements. He's trying to suppress his breathing so it's not out of control. So this is why he has this deep breath in and out. You see his shoulders rise and fall. I don't think that he is impacted necessarily by the statements that he is hearing, which is unbelievable. I want to think that he is, but after hearing what he's about to say, I don't think that he sees anybody as victims but himself. We also see a hard swallow right after these shoulders go up and down, which I find very interesting. It is a spontaneous reaction to something unsavory, dangerous, or extremely stressful, and also a very reliable indicator of distress. So for him to be having these reactions is very interesting because it's while the internet connection keeps cutting in and out, and it makes me think that it could be impatience that he has. I don't know if that would be likely, but it's just a very weird timing for him to have like this big intake of breath with his shoulders rising and falling, and then having this hard swallow right after. It's just very strange timing for him to have these reactions. It is in the midst of quite a number of impact statements that were delivered within the hearing. So it makes me wonder if he is feeling maybe a little bit of shame because of it. But I just find it very interesting that he's having these reactions in the middle of this hearing.
This vile and heartless crime has not only affected and traumatized my family, but so many other families as well.
He's adapting a little bit with the chair here. And like I said, this is the behavior panel's favorite thing to see. When somebody's sitting on a swivelly chair like that, they adapt that way. He's doing it ever so slightly. Again, I really feel like he's trying so hard to suppress his behavior, his body language. He's trying not to do anything too much because he knows that it's going to get scrutinized. He knows that everybody's watching right now.
This has also impacted her friends, all of those who knew her, as well as the whole community. There are nights where I can't sleep, nights where I wake up gasping for air, haunted by what Maddie must have gone through.
He's looking down as if he's being contemplative while this woman is doing her impact statement. And I believe it's because he is wanting to appear remorseful to the judge. I think the only person that can really see him that he's kind of putting on a show for is the judge. So what should he be doing? He should be looking solemn, and he should be looking down and, you know, thinking about everything that he's hearing and feeling remorseful. But as soon as he starts talking, that whole thing just disappears because he's not remorseful whatsoever. He's trying to look like he is, but he's not.
And let me be perfectly clear. Where you go after this life will not be where Maddie is. She is in a place of peace surrounded by love. You, on the other hand, will never know peace. You'll never see her again. You're not going where she is going. You're going to hell.
His blink rate spikes again when she is saying that he's going to hell. Where Madeline Soto is, he's not going. And I think that that is something that may have impacted him a little bit, may have got to him a little bit, because, again, his blink rate goes up a tiny bit.
And Stephanie, can you tell the court your first and last name, please?
Stephanie Soto.
Thank you.
When she says her name, you can see he does another hard swallow. So there were a lot of victim impact statements, and I do think that you should watch the full video because it is worth watching, especially for Madeline Soto's sake, because this little girl deserves so much more than what she got. It's so devastating to think about her life just beginning. It really is disappointing that she was this close to a monster. But I wanted to skip ahead of those impact statements. I do think that you should watch the full video because it is worthwhile. So down below, I will link Grizzly True Crime and her coverage of it because I think it was fantastic. And I will also do Court TV's link as well. So, without further ado, let's get into this monster.
Let's place Mr. Sterns under, he's been previously placed under oath.
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to make a brief statement. I agree that it's not fair that Madeline is not here anymore.
So it's interesting to hear his voice in comparison to how it was before when he was saying yes, yes, or no to the questioning that was asked by the judge.
I do. Yes, it is. I have no difficulty. No contest. Guilty.
Now his voice suddenly is very weak, and we've heard this before in his interview, his media interview, or his interrogation, where he just has such a meek little voice that he puts on, and it just seems so fake.
I agree that it's not fair that Madeline is not here anymore.
He says, I agree it's not fair that Madeline is not here anymore, as if he was not the one that made that happen. It's also interesting too because him saying I agree with what everybody else just said kind of makes it less about him. It's kind of pushing the blame in a way. It's a way of saying, oh yeah, I'm on the same page. Like, I feel the same way. It's socializing the issue instead of saying, yeah, this was it. It makes it seem like he's trying to blame somebody else for it. Like it wasn't him that did it, but it's not taking responsibility. That's the main thing, is that there's no responsibility that he's taken right now. And this is his opportunity to say, I'm sorry for everything. He's trying to be the victim. He's trying to say, oh, I agree with all these other people who are also victims in this because this beautiful child was taken away. He's saying, I agree with them, as if he's on the same side as them. And that couldn't be further from the truth because he's the one that took her away from everybody.
I still have a hard time contemplating a world where she's not around.
As he says that, his voice goes up like a question, which is up talk, meaning that he's not entirely certain with what he's saying.
A world which feels less vibrant and less colorful than it did before.
And then once again, we hear him go back to telling as opposed to asking a question. He's saying it, his voice goes down a bit.
I've prayed to God countless times.
He's saying that he's prayed to God countless times. This is wrapping himself in holy cloth. He's saying, I'm praying, so I'm a good person because I pray to God. So once again, he's not taking the responsibility of what he's done. He's dressing himself in holy cloth, taking holy ground.
To trade places with her.
To trade places with her. This is so ridiculous. And this is, once again, it's just him pushing any responsibility of anything that he's done. He was the adult in this situation. And now he's saying something so ridiculous as, oh, I wish I could trade places with her. I've prayed to God asking. So I'm pretty much innocent in all of this.
To trade places with her. To take me instead.
To take me instead. Unbelievable. I just can't believe that he would even say this. To trade places with her and take me instead. It's him trying to say something meaningful, but not knowing whatsoever what to say. He has no idea what to say because he has no empathy for what he's done. He has no idea.
And unfortunately, that's just not how he works.
So he makes it seem like it's not his fault anymore that she's not here, that she's with God. He makes it seem like it's God's fault now because that's not how he works. I've prayed that she could be here instead of me, but that's not how God works, so it's out of my hands.
I have nothing but sorrow for her loss. And I miss her all the time.
I find it so creepy and vile that he would say, I miss her all the time. I just feel so... that kind of just like enrages me that he says that because he shouldn't miss her all the time. I feel very defensive over her because he shouldn't be allowed to miss her all the time. He was the one that took her, and for him to say I miss her all the time is just terrible.
Her passing has torn me and my family apart as well.
Her passing has torn me and my family apart as well. This is distancing language, her passing, it makes it seem like it wasn't his doing. Her passing makes it seem like it was something of her own responsibility, that she was responsible for her passing instead of him doing the thing that took her away.
And she truly was a joy.
Ugh. His statements just give me the heebie-jeebies. Like, I just do not feel comfortable with him talking about her. I don't like the fact that he's even allowed to think of her. I just, oh, he just gives me the creeps.
I pray to God that she is in heaven and that he's taking good care of her.
So once again, we hear him mentioning God. And again, I feel like this is something that he's really just trying to drive home, that he's, praying to God. So he's like a good person now because he prays. It doesn't matter what he did before. It's the fact is that he's praying to God, everybody. So, it's great. Everything's perfect now. This is ridiculous. I can't, this guy, just like every single thing that he says, yeah, I can't deal with it.
And I hope she gets to join the choir because she had a beautiful voice.
I think it's just so creepy that he's complimenting her singing voice right now and saying, I hope she's in the choir. Like, this guy just seems like he has no concept of right and wrong. Although he is guilty, it seems that he doesn't think that he is. It's like, do you realize that she's not walking around joining the choir right now because of what you did, right? Like, it's mind-boggling. Like, this, I was hoping he would say something, but I was hoping that he would say better things. I was hoping that he would be better. But why would I think that? Why was I hoping that he would be better? Because he's obviously not a good person.
We'll miss her all the time.
Ugh, I don't like that he's saying that he misses her all the time. It's as if he's thinking about her all the time, which is, again, just makes me feel very sick. It makes me have the heebie-jeebies because I don't think he should be thinking about her all the time. And I hate that. He is. He's such a creep. I'm trying to maintain composure because it's really important for behavioral analysis to go in with a blank slate and look at everybody without any biases. But I'm having a really hard time with this person because he just sickens me. He repulses me. So I'm having a hard time with this.
I'll never not honor her memory.
He's got a dry mouth as he's saying this, so he's feeling a lot of stress or even fear. I think this is understandable considering he's in a courtroom full of people who probably don't want to hear what he's saying.
And I apologize for all the pain.
He leans back and, it kind of seems like he didn't even finish the sentence. He said, I apologize for all the pain. He doesn't say, I apologize for what I did to Madeline. He doesn't say, I apologize for the pain I've caused everybody. He just says, I apologize for all the pain. This could be him even saying, I apologize for all the pain that he's dealing with. So it just seems like the sentence, he couldn't even say sorry. He couldn't even apologize to the families that were impacted. He couldn't apologize to his family. He couldn't apologize to anybody. Instead, he just made himself out to be the victim. This whole thing was him being the victim. So even though he was the one that caused this whole thing, he's the one that's the victim. He's the one that's, praying to God because of this whole situation. The whole thing, his whole statement just gives me such a ick feeling because none of it is what anybody wanted. I think that he had the opportunity to at least give some sort of statement about how badly he felt about taking her life. But there was nothing like that. And I think that that is just really disappointing because it's not what anybody wanted.
Anything further, defense? Conclude our plea and sentencing hearing. We'll be in recess.
Once it's done, he stands up and he walks over and he makes sure not to look at anybody while he's walking over because he knows that nobody wants to deal with that. It also seems that he's obviously very eager to leave the room because he goes directly out the door, which, I mean, to be fair, he probably thought that that's where you're supposed to go. But it's just interesting that he's just very eager to get out the door because, again, I feel like he knows that people in that room are not happy with him. And good. I mean, I hope he knows that because, man, what a turd. There's a brief moment where you can see his expression, his face, and it looks like he's got some wrinkles that are quite visible, and it seems like it's kind of like an attempt at sorrow. He does a really quick sideways glance over towards the courtroom when the police officers split up, and I think that he's maybe trying to see who's there or who's not there. I think that he's really trying hard not to make eye contact with anybody there because who knows what could happen. He's just trying to avert his eyes the whole time, not looking at the courtroom. But here's where it looks like he's glancing over at the courtroom just briefly. And then once again, he looks away. He looks down as if he's trying to once more look very solemn and look like he's feeling badly about this whole thing. I don't think that he's feeling badly about anything, any part that he had. I think that he is the type of person that will always be the victim in this situation. And, you know, he thinks of it as his loss as well as everybody else's. You know, he's part of the people who are suffering because she's gone now, even though it was at his own hands that she passed away. So anyway, that's what I thought of Stephan Sterns. Now, if you saw something that I missed, please write it down below in the comments. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks, everybody. Bye.